Canada's economic crossroads. Time to ditch the American crutch and avoid the Poilievre pitfall. By the Crabby Tabby, supreme overlord of common sense, Canada, the land of politeness, poutine, and an absolutely unhealthy dependence on our noisy downstairs neighbor. For decades, we've been curled up like a contented house cat in America's lap, trusting that they'd keep tossing us economic treats. But what happens when Uncle Sam gets distracted by his own chaos and stops filling the bowl? Spoiler alert, we starve. It's time for Canada to stop meowing at the US door and start hunting for opportunities elsewhere. But to do that, we need real leadership, not soundbite spewing opportunists. So today we're diving into why Canada must break free from its American crutch, why Mark Carney is the man to lead us, and why Pierre Poilievre is absolutely not. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Or don't. But just know I'll be judging you from my perch. Now, let's get into it. Canada's chronic American dependency. A dangerous habit. For decades, Canada has built its economy around the assumption that the U.S. will always be our best trade partner, our economic safety net, and our sort of benevolent big brother. But relying on America is like expecting a toddler to babysit you. Ill-advised, chaotic, and ultimately dangerous. We've seen it time and time again. The U.S. slaps tariffs on our aluminum and steel when it suits them. They push Buy American policies that freeze us out. And let's not forget the latest ridiculous musings about annexing Canada to become the 51st state. Because nothing says, respect your neighbor, like casual imperialism. The message is clear. The U.S. is looking out for itself, and if we don't do the same, we're going to end up like a cat who trusted a toddler. Dropped, bruised, and wondering what went wrong. Why now? Because Canada can't afford to wait. Economic shifts don't happen overnight, but if there was ever a time to act, it's now. And Carney recognizes that. The global market is changing, new economic alliances are emerging, and we have a rare opportunity to reposition ourselves before we're completely at America's mercy. Here's why the timing is critical. The U.S. is an unreliable partner. Their political instability means that at any moment, a new administration could throw another tantrum, slap on new tariffs, and leave Canadian industries scrambling. The global market is shifting. The European Union, post-Brexit Britain, and booming Asian economies are opening up new trade routes. If we start diversifying now, we can strengthen our global presence before it's too late. Energy and resources need new buyers. Instead of funneling our oil and minerals south, why not build the infrastructure to send them to Europe and Asia? Selling to only one customer is just bad business. Innovation is key. Canada has the talent to lead in AI, green energy, and biotech. Why wait for American investors to wake up when we can start partnering with other nations now? A divided Canada is a weak Canada. If we don't stand together to chart an independent economic course, we risk being at the mercy of political infighting, and a few well-placed tariffs away from economic disaster. Why Mark Carney is the leader Canada needs. Enter Mark Carney, an extremely intelligent man who actually understands how economies work, an underrated quality in politicians these days. The former Bank of Canada and Bank of England governor isn't just good at numbers. He's a global thinker with a proven track record of navigating economic storms. Here's why he's the right cat for the job. He understands global markets. Unlike certain populist politicians who reduce the economy to bumper sticker slogans, cough, Poilievre, cough, Carney knows how trade, banking, and economic stability actually work. He's pro-Canada, pro-growth, and pro-climate. Carney has been a vocal advocate for green investment and sustainable finance, aka future-proofing our economy instead of chasing the past. He can stand up to the U.S. Carney, has negotiated with world leaders, central banks, and financial institutions. He's not going to crumble the moment an American politician sneezes in our direction. He's respected across party lines. Unlike divisive figures who thrive on chaos, yes, Poilievre, I'm still looking at you, Carney can unite Canadians behind a clear economic vision. Why, Pierre Poilievre is not the guy for the job. Ah, Pierre Poilievre. The human equivalent of a cat knocking over a glass of water just to watch you suffer. While he's good at stirring up anger and making catchy slogans, his actual economic ideas are about as useful as a deflated soccer ball. 1. Poilievre is all talk, no plan. For all his yelling about inflation and bringing home common sense, he's yet to provide a detailed economic strategy that goes beyond tax cuts, deregulation, and crypto fantasies. Seriously, the man once suggested that Bitcoin was a viable hedge against inflation. Imagine if Canada had actually followed his advice. Our economy would have collapsed faster than a house cat knocking a fragile vase off the counter. Where is your plan, Pierre? How do you plan to be accountable to the Canadian people? 2. He's obsessed with the U.S. playbook. Instead of pushing Canada towards economic independence, Poilievre models himself after American-style right-wing populists, peddling division and anger, rather than solutions. His economic vision is alarmingly U.S.-centric, doubling down on traditional oil exports and deregulation. Exactly the kind of thinking that keeps us shackled to America. 3. He undermines Canadian institutions. Poilievre's attacks on the Bank of Canada show he doesn't understand, or doesn't care, how monetary policy actually works. He's more interested in tearing things down than building anything useful. Canada needs leadership that strengthens our institutions, not someone who wants to bulldoze them for political clout. 4. He thrives on division, not unity. Instead of uniting Canadians around a strong economic vision, Poilievre plays to the angry and disillusioned, offering them easy villains instead of real solutions. Anger is not an economic strategy. If Canada wants to be stronger, we need a leader who builds, not one who simply blames. Canadians must stand firm and united. This is not the time for infighting or waiting around to see what happens next. We must take action to secure Canada's economic future. That means demanding policies that expand trade beyond the U.S. investing in Canadian-led innovation instead of waiting for American investors. Strengthening national infrastructure to support global exports. Choosing leaders who understand economics, not just sound bites. If we allow Poilievre's brand of American-style populism to take over, we won't be breaking free from U.S. dependence. We'll be embracing it even further. Canada needs a leader who sees beyond America, and Mark Carney is one of the few people equipped to do that. Well, my fellow Canadians, that's your dose of feline wisdom for today. If you agree that Canada needs to stop waiting on America and start acting like a global powerhouse, hit that like button. If you still think Pierre Poilievre is the answer, well, bless your heart, but maybe go read an economics textbook. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell, or else I'll knock something expensive off your desk. Until next time, stay sharp, stay independent, and for the love of all things maple, stop waiting for America to fix our problems. This is the Crabby Tabby, signing off.